And the great thing is that you can teach this to them and let them do it for themselves. You can pass this on and let them go heal other people or let them heal themselves, because it doesn't take any energy from you. It's not your energy. You know, if you teach them the follow the leader and then just to fill in the blank with whatever ailment or disease they have or whatever, or you teach them how to do the yes therapy, there's no telling how many people that they could go out and heal. I taught one lady to do it, and she was at her job site, and a worker had broken his wrist. Broke his wrist. I mean, it was broken real good. Couldn't move it. You know, he was done. And they were going to fill out an accident form and workers' comp and all this stuff. And she said, "Do you mind if I do something to it? You know, I just want to show you this verbal technique of healing." And the guy's like, "Well, you know, we got to do this accident form." She's like, "I promise you, if you let me do this, you won't have to fill out that accident form." And so, I'm like, okay. So they're kind of curious. They wanted to check it out. And so she did the yes therapy, and in like 5 minutes, his wrist was back together, and he could pick stuff up and move. And I think she did it 3 times, and at the end of the 3rd time, over the period of about 10 minutes, he was able to go back to work, and it wasn't a problem, you know. One of my students has a lot of employees, and he's got his own therapy clinic. You know, he's his own healthcare. You know, somebody pulls their back or gets injured on the job, whatever, as long as they're open to having him work on them, then he'll just put them up on the table, fix them, and then everybody will go back to work. And so it's created an incredible environment for him, as everybody there is not afraid of having to be ill, because he just, you know, he fixes it. And he's taught them how to fix it. So if they're out on a job site and they're doing stuff, then they can fix it as well. You know, if anybody gets hurt or injured or is bleeding or whatever, you know. So sharing these techniques, you know, with other people, you know, don't just hoard that healing power for yourself. I'm not. You know, I want to share it with you. I want you to be able to do these things. And I want you to be able to help other people to do these things. Because we must be self-sufficient in the world that we live in today. We must not be dependent on the gods of medicine, you know, or the gods of protection to come in and save us, you know. One more quick story. You know, I was in a restaurant about 6 months ago. I do a lot of work in restaurants. And there was a lady who was having a sugar attack. Okay, she was apparently drinking some sweet tea that was too sweet for her, I guess, borderline diabetic condition or whatever. And so she was drinking this, and she started to go into an insulin shock. And I just simply, you know, well, first I asked permission to do anything about it, and then I walked over there and I said, "Sugar down." And her sugar immediately dropped down in 2 minutes. You'd have never known it was happened. You'd never known it would have happened. And then she ordered a piece of pie and ate it. Yeah, against my recommendation, but she did it nonetheless. And she didn't have a problem. She actually ate it, and it was no big deal, you know. But someone observing it, who was a nurse, you know, said, "I would have called 911. You know, how did you do that?" And you could do the same thing with the yes therapy that I did. You know, that's just a quicker technique, and you'll be able to get there eventually. And you might even be able to do it right now. You know, don't limit yourself. But the yes therapy would have definitely worked. Can you take the sugar down? Will you take the sugar down? Please take the sugar down. Yes, thank you. And all of a sudden, everything will just start to calm down. Well, you know, the nurse lady said, "I would have dialed 911, you know. And I said, "So you would have called the gods of medicine, you know. I call the God, and it's taken care of, you know." And what I mean by that is that whenever you're not educated enough to take care of your own illnesses, then you depend on other people, okay? You know, as soon as there was trouble, I sent out a prayer to who I pray to, and through the telephone, they would have sent out a prayer who they pray to for healing and health. You know, and that's not to say that that wouldn't have worked in some particular way where they'd all come in and, you know, they'd have thrown their medical bags down and pulled out some insulin and give her a shot and she'd have stabilized and been okay. But wasn't my way a little bit easier? You know, and isn't it a little bit more natural? You know, not to mention it's a whole lot cheaper. You know, and I said I'm not encouraging you to not pursue other ways and make this your sole way. I'm simply stating that anytime you become dependent on anything that is not of God, and that's not God himself, you're giving part of your soul away, and that makes you weak spiritually, and therefore you're very easy to control or manipulate by outside forces. You're easily blown around. You have no rooting or grounding power. And the yes therapy techniques definitely give you back a substantial portion of this grounding power. So let's take a look at the techniques again. We have follow the leader, can you, will you, please do, thank you, and they repeat. We have yes therapy, can you, will you, please do, thank you, and they say yes in between each line. Okay? The touch and go is the same thing, except now I'm just putting my hand on a particular part of their body, wherever it is that is causing the problem. Okay? Do I have to put my hand on the area? No. I can say right here where I'm thinking about, and I don't actually have to touch the area, because some people may have areas that you really don't want to touch. But let's say, for example, again with the shoulder, or let's do the elbow. Right here where my hand is, there is problems, or there are problems, or there is damage, or whatever. You know, it doesn't matter what you say. Let's say right here where my hand is, there is damage. Can you remove the damage right here where my hand is? Yes. Will you remove the damage right here where my hand is? Yes. Please remove the damage right here where my hand is. Yes. Thank you. And so what you want to do is get them to say yes, at least. You know, get them to say yes with you and to help give compliance, because otherwise it won't be nearly as effective as it can be. If they don't say yes, it definitely limits that, because their limitation, their restriction, they're not allowing God to come in and heal them for whatever reason, is already evident because there's an injury there. So we gotta bypass that with this statement of yes for compliance.